That morning, the Alaskan air was as crisp as chilled champagne, invigorating yet gently caressing my skin. Its purity seemed to awaken something deep inside me, evoking a sense of wonder and serenity that only such untouched wilderness can evoke. Each breath felt like a connection to the eternal rhythm of the earth, grounding me while simultaneously lifting my spirit to the vast sky above. The landscape before me was a breathtaking canvas of towering mountains bathed in early light, their peaks covered in the first rays of dawn. The deck of our cabin creaked faintly beneath my feet as I unfolded my yoga mat. This light sound seemed to echo in the vast desert, like a whisper of human presence in the majesty of nature. My nephew was already awake and ready to make nice for me, a lonely woman who had long forgotten what it was to smell a man in the room in the morning. I have always been a woman who pays attention to detail, both in life and in myself. This habit was born from years of watching the craftsmanship of my seamstress mother, for whom every stitch was a lesson in precision, and from my own career as an event planner, where success lay in the smallest of touches, a perfectly arranged bouquet, a subtle but expressive choice of music. This experience taught me that it is in the details that the beauty and meaning of life lies. At 50, I often marveled at the symmetry of my existence. My skin glowed from careful care, a testament to years of balanced living. My curves, feminine and strong, reflected a life lived with grace. My nephew, Leo, never missed an opportunity to playfully remind me of my attractiveness. Aunt Bella, he would quip, if fans could earn frequent flyer bonuses, you'd be circling the globe by now. His humor always gave our interactions a warmth I treasured. That summer trip to Alaska was supposed to be a vacation, a chance to get away from the demands of our lives and reconnect with the simplicity of the land. Leo, an artist with a penchant for capturing raw beauty, suggested the trip. He loved the way nature is exposed here, unabashed and unyielding, and I agreed without much persuasion. Alaska drew me in, its rugged beauty reflected something in my own soul. But most importantly, I would be alone, one-on-one with my favorite nephew who would do whatever I wanted. And I always want a lot, and I want the whole game to go according to my rules. As I moved into the sun salutation, the air around me seemed to pulse with life. The stretching of muscles, the conscious inhalations and exhalations, all of it intensified in the silence of the wilderness. Leo leaned casually on the railing, his piercing blue eyes fixed on me. He was watching me, not obsessively, but thoughtfully, as if he were sketching in his mind. I could only imagine what his thoughts were, but the moment would come soon enough and I would know. Leo's face had the elegance of an artist. His high cheekbones framed his striking eyes, and his dark hair, perpetually disheveled by some invisible wind, gave him a roguish charm. His gaze often lingered on the world around him, not with idle curiosity, but with a kind of reverence, as if every leaf, shadow, and glimmer of light deserved to be immortalized. It was this quality that made his presence magnetic, drawing you into his world of vivid detail and quiet gratitude. He was always attentive to the subtleties that others often miss. His art captured moments that many would not have noticed. The way sunlight dances on leaves, the quiet defiance of a lone flower breaking through concrete, the shadow of a smile hinted at but not fully formed. I felt like one of his charges that morning. His gaze was not just admiration, but a reflection of something deeper, something unspoken. I briefly caught his gaze as I shifted into warrior pose. The connection persisted, like a taut thread in the space between us. I smiled softly, letting the moment exist without words. The mountains stood as silent witnesses to our tacit understanding. Their stoic presence lent weight to the morning, as if calling us to honor the truth in our silence. For a fleeting second, it seemed to me that time stood still. The world around us had become a painting, bright and still, and we were its only moving parts. After yoga class, I sat on my mat, cross-legged, and enjoyed the serenity. Leo joined me, lowering himself to the deck with an ease that belied his tall stature. He took his sketchbook with him. He always did, and without being asked, he began to draw. His pencil danced across the paper, capturing something visible only to him. I didn't need to ask what he was sketching. I knew it was me. "The light here is incredible," he murmured, almost to himself. "It gives everything a sense of timelessness." I nodded, looking up at the mountains. Like the land is telling a story we're too busy to hear most of the time. Leo paused, his pencil hovering mid-stroke. "What's your story, Aunt Bella?" The question caught me off guard. It was one thing to reflect privately on my life's journey, but voicing it, especially in front of Leo, I hesitated, searching for the right words. I began slowly. My story is still being written. It's a story about balance, about finding harmony between strength and vulnerability, beauty and essence. And maybe it's about learning to let go of the idea that we must have all the answers. He smiled, a boyish grin softening the harshness of his features. Sounds like a story worth telling. The rest of the day passed with quiet grace. We followed trails strewn with wildflowers, their bright colors standing out against the muted greens and browns of the forest. Leo's camera clicked periodically, capturing moments that would later be reflected in his art. Every now and then he would look at me with the same thoughtful expression he had that morning, as if trying to decipher a puzzle visible only to him. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, coloring the sky amber and purple, we sat around the fire. The crackling flames reflected the warmth between us. We talked about everything and nothing, as one does with someone who truly sees you. Leo shared his dreams of his upcoming gallery show, and I encouraged him, knowing that his talent deserved to be recognized. But as the conversation died down, my thoughts returned to his earlier question: what was my story? And more importantly, what chapter am I in now? Alaska, with its raw beauty and unyielding truths, has a way of bringing life down to its essentials. At this point, I felt closer to the core of my being. Before leaving for the night, I stood on the deck one more time. The stars appeared, scattered across the black sky like a handful of diamonds. Leo joined me, his presence quiet but soothing. Without saying a word, he held out his notebook to me. On the page was a drawing of my morning portrait, mid-pose, framed by the mountains. But it wasn't just a portrait, it was a reflection of something deeper. It captured the glow of dawn merging with my form, as if nature and I were one. "You see too much," I teased softly, a note of emotion in my voice. "Not enough," he replied in a serious tone. "Not enough." As I stared at the drawing, a sense of peace came over me. My story wasn't just mine, it was intertwined with the people and places that had shaped me. And here, under the Alaskan sky, a new chapter began, of self-discovery, connection, and the beauty of living fully in the present. The Alaskan sunrise showed me more than just the majesty of nature. Its golden hues, blending effortlessly with the rugged peaks, reflected the journey of life itself, at once harsh and beautiful, demanding and giving. It lit the way forward, reminding me that life's most profound moments often arise not from answers, but from the courage to embrace the questions and let the natural flow of time determine their meaning.